Well, friends, we have finally reached the end of an era here on Car Rant. I have been a Mitsubishi guy for basically the entire duration of the channel, from episode 1.1, Evo Most Wanted, all the way till now. And that's not going to change. How's it going, everyone? My name is Nick Lanza, and if you're new to the channel, this is Car Rant, and here we do stuff with builds, we do reviews, we work on our cars here, and we also talk about car news and car culture. So if any of that sounds like a good time to you, please consider hitting the sub button, like this video if you like it, and let's dive in head first into what is officially going to be the last episode with my Pajero in it. That's right, if you've been a part of the channel, you know that I have owned a Mitsubishi Pajero now for basically 5 years. For about a year or so it was down and we were dealing with a lot of electrical issues. Turns out we needed a whole harness. And over the last year, 2 years, I have loved having my truck back and running. So I can hear some of you say, but Nick, you had such a love affair for this vehicle. The Dakar winner, the off-road beast. You loved the Pajero. It's just feeling like a rinse repeat of the Evo. Why would you let this go? And the truth of the matter is actually a couple of reasons. First and foremost, I'm working on my dual citizenship with Italy. And there, they don't allow for modified vehicles of any kind. I would literally have to get permission to modify the Pajero from Mitsubishi themselves in order to take this truck with me to Italy. That by itself is such a wild thought. Why would I appeal to a company who built the car 30 years ago to change something in it that maybe is a better, newer product versus what they had? It is what it is. It's their rules, right? But secondarily, the other day I was actually on my way to a more formal dinner and the truck completely gave up. I had quite literally just started going down the road from here. I maybe made it 1/8 of a mile. Truck had been warmed up, things were good to go, and out of nowhere it completely failed, shut off, sputtered out, and that was it. I have almost a full tank of fuel inside of this truck. I had just put it in there. It's fresh. There is no leaky oil. The motor oil is fine. In fact, it's topped up nicely. Everything else about the truck is great, except for a hole in the exhaust and the fact that it makes somehow a whopping 9 miles per gallon on average. That 9 miles per gallon also plays a part and a role in why I'm letting it go. So here I am trying to move house, trying to start my life over. I wanted to keep this as my truck for the United States, but there's no way. And at this point, as much as I love it, it's time to say goodbye. So where does that leave us? Well, I'm going to have a friend come by and help me clear it out and clean it up and be able to post it nicely on Facebook Marketplace. There's a strong presence for this vehicle in this area. There are other people who own, say, K trucks or other off-roaders like right-hand drive, FJ40s, things like that. And I know that there's going to be good support for this vehicle. And who knows, maybe even the shop that helped me work on it might want to buy it for themselves to test some R&D on. I don't really know. The fact of the matter is it's got to go to a home to someone who's a little more eager than I am to be able to keep this beast alive and tinker with it, maybe get it running in time for mudding season later this year. So it's now the next day, and I actually have a friend of mine coming to help me clean out my friend here and clean him up so we can try and get him up for sale. But we are not alone today, friends. Now, allow me to introduce to you the new to me 2020 Outlander Sport. This is my new daily driver, and I'm super pumped because this thing is actually really, really nice. I will be the first to admit, I didn't think I was going to fall in love with this car as much as I did. Truthfully, I was looking at the full-size Outlanders like I had before, like my white one. Not, well, one of these. In other countries, this vehicle goes by other names, RVRs, ASXs, stuff like that. But here, it's the Outlander Sport. The truth is this is basically just a really big hatchback Lancer. Under the hood, you'll find a 4B11 or a 4B12. It's got the same kind of CVT, which I know a lot of people are concerned about, but for me, this has had good service records, and we'll get into that in a minute. The driving sensation, especially when in some front wheel drive mode, is very good. Tight steering, I love it. Having been in the Pajero for a long time now and not having that kind of sporty sensation, you know, I've gotten used to the boat, right? This feels nimble, feels planted. It's deceptively fast because you don't get the same kind of speed sensation like I did in the Pajero. And of course, this beautiful red paint is really what kind of helped sell me on it, because I wasn't trying to find red. I was talking with some friends of mine and they pointed out that I had yet to actually own a red car. On the channel, I've had different shades of green. Obviously the Evo was yellow, the Pajero was charcoal. I had, you know, blue Lexus and white Honda. Like, there's a lot of colors in the spectrum. And the only two colors that I had not owned yet is a burnt orange or a red. I think out of all the colors that Mitsubishi makes, their reds tend to be my favorite for those types of shades. And this pops really nicely in the light. For trunk space, even I was surprised at how much room there is in here. This is perfect tailgate height. You know, you can just sit back. I'm not quite tall enough, but you get the idea. You could very easily put your golf clubs back here, because that, for whatever reason, that's like been the standard for 40 years now. Oh, you can fit a full set of golf clubs in the trunk. But the truth is you can. Like, I fit an entire stroller box in the back of this thing, laying the seats down, and still had room to be comfortably sat in the driver's seat. And even here in the driver's seat, this is comfortable. Like, I'm seated nicely. Steering wheel's at a pretty solid height for someone of my stature, being 5'5". The steering wheel itself is very tight, very responsive, no matter what mode you're in, whether it's the four-wheel drive or the front-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive. It does what you want it to do, and it gives you a lot of good driving feedback, which for me is honestly super mission critical. You want it to feel sporty, you want it to feel nice in the hands, you want to have good feedback from the tires to your hands so you understand what's going on out there. And this compact SUV just does it for me. There's still buttons, there's still dials, there's things to turn, there's things to interact with, and this is a 2020 model. They kept this until 2022. A lot of people have said that it's dated or it's out of date for the way it looks and things like that on the inside, but personally, this is just enough. It's not crazy busy. I don't have a giant television screen in front of me for a dashboard. It gives me what I want when I need it, and that's what's important to me. Of course, the glove box could be a little bit bigger, but I do have the original factory manuals and everything else, which is awesome. I've also alluded to this, that this has an impeccable service history, and that's because this was originally a rental car. Based off of some of the information I gathered, this was likely an enterprise car, which is fine. It's an SE, so it's got a lot of the extra functions and features in it, which is also very nice. But there are little hints here and there that this was definitely a rental car. Namely, the buttons that would have gone here on the dash, whatever they were, are now just passenger airbag alerts. There's a little bit of wear and tear on the back from people putting in luggage or large items, and random areas where there are scratches that clearly someone with a ring on here on the driver's side was trying to find something and didn't know where it was in the dark. But I think my favorite out of everything is the fact the plastic sheeting for the infotainment center is still on it 5 years later. And as you are aware, you can't smoke in rental cars. This doesn't have the cigarette lighter. It has the port, but it doesn't have the lighter. Instead, it has this little plastic rubber inset piece with the no smoking sign on it. Very entertained by that, and I am definitely going to keep it because I just think it's funny. So I've now driven this for well over 100 miles, and I have a pretty good sense of how it feels and what it wants to do. And the reality is this thing is extremely comfortable on the road and also is not noisy at all. In the cabin, it's actually really quiet. In fact, the cabin in this thing is so good at deafening outside noise that I legitimately had gone 85, almost 90, and didn't realize I was going that fast because that sensation of speed is kind of gone, and not in a bad way. In some of the other cars that I've owned and driven, going that fast is an event. You know, going 60 in the Pajero is an event. It is not a small feat, and therefore there's lots of noise and wind resistance, and you feel it in the steering wheel. The body might shake a tiny bit from wind gusts hitting the car, but this, it's put together. It's confident. It's really, really nice. And of course, given that this has an NA4B in it, I am very familiar with how this powertrain wants to be driven. And frankly, it does exactly what you want it to do. I drove on a road near my family's house and it took it like a champ. The road is notorious for twists and turns and changes and the way the terrain's laid out, and it ate like it was hungry. It was so good, and to the level of I was carrying speeds in this that I couldn't carry in almost anything else I'd ever driven down that road. In fact, the only other vehicle that I was able to drive this confidently was the Evo, but that's a purpose-built race car. I'm not saying that this is a purpose-built race car, but what I am saying is this is a very confidence-inspiring SUV. While it's not going to be capable of going off-road to the level that the Pajero was, I can rest assured knowing that that all-wheel drive does exactly what you want it to. It's gonna get me anywhere I want to go, no matter the conditions, and it's got great fuel economy, almost 30 miles per gallon on the highway. Bear in mind that I was going from 9 miles per gallon in the Pajero to this. Like, it might be literally 10 gallons smaller of a gas tank, but I can still go almost 110 miles further than my Pajero could. This is a huge win for me personally. Only time will tell what kind of adventures and trouble we'll be able to get into in this, but do know that there are some mods coming for this model. I'm definitely gonna get a roof rack put on this, and I'm gonna try and see if I can't get some kind of trailer hitch. That way we can take our mopeds wherever we take this. Outside of that, there's really not much else I wanna do to this, because I really do love this thing, the way that it sits. It's grown on me so much in the last couple days, you know, between yesterday and today, that yeah, I think this is the one, boys. So all that said, I hope you guys will join me in welcoming my red Outlander to the channel, but also help me wish a strong and heartfelt farewell to the Pajero. This thing's been through a lot. It's helped me move multiple times now, and it's almost like losing a part of me, you know? One of our friends had privately disclosed that me selling this Pajero feels kind of like me letting the Evo go. How it was such a unique part of who I was. People knew me for this thing. So losing this sucks. But I hope that it can live on and have a very fulfilled life, possibly going even more off-roading than I ever took it with a new owner. That said, thank you all for coming along on this journey with me. I hope that you guys are as excited as I am for this. And we'll see you guys on another episode of Car Rant. Peace!
And that, children, is the difference between good tires and my tires. Because, man, he's getting it!